you are. All right, I'm excited about your story.
Awesome, thanks for the round of applause. My name is Dominique Flagg. I'm from Los Angeles, California, born in 1992 into a loving family, and even better, extended family. In middle school, I lived with my mother, my little brother PJ. PJ loved video games and cartoons and getting on my nerves. I was into, believe it or not, dancing and 90s R&B. I was really shy though, but eager, athletic, liked to try things. The oldest grandchild on my father's side, so I was a bit of a protector. I had about 9 little girl cousins behind me, so I was trying to set an example and be something. So one day I pulled my mom aside, rubbed my hands together, and I'm like, hey, I want to sell candy. She looks at me, she says, what are you talking about? And I tell her about a time where I used to hang out at my father's on the east side in the summer. I was probably about 11 at the time. The other kids and I, we used to go to apartment 213 in the B building for candy, and we just called it the candy house. So I took that candy house idea during a time where California schools began to remove the vending machines, and I thought I could make a killing. So my mom was like, hey, I'm sort of there with you. She wanted us to create some sort of plan, a business plan or something, some sort of approach to attack. So we hung out in the kitchen, had an all-nighter, going through different ideas. We had Snickers, Reese's, Starburst, Sour Skittles, Sour Belts, you name it. We got creative. We did the whole gummy bears and like Kool-Aid powder and Ziploc bags things. And after a few back and forths, she was like, all right, cool. I'll give you the money as an initial investment, but you have to pay me back. And sure, I get it. I'm like 12 or 13 at the time, and if I was a con man, this would be a killer heist to convince my mom to buy me a couple $100 worth of candy just to sell and give away to my friends. But given that, being in Los Angeles, I felt like a kid on a conveyor belt, just going through life, telling me what to do, where to go, and there was a few options. It's sports, street life, and what you can find in between. So me, I was up for the challenge. I needed a new sense of change. So we hopped in our Ford Explorer, headed to the Smart and Final on Century and Crenshaw Boulevard. The bright lights illuminated the candy aisles. It was very hard to keep focus. I felt so official, but we had a list and we stuck to it. Walked down the aisles trying samples, waving at people I didn't know. My mom let me hold the money, so I had like $200 clutched in my fist, just feeling like a businessman, like I was out there just about to go handle it. So my most proudest moment of that day was just strolling up to the register. We had everything on the little conveyor belt. She's scanning it, I had the money in my hand, shaking, just ready to hand it to her. More so eager to get home and lay everything out on the table and just look at everything that we had. So we get home, lay it out. We have Ziploc bags, measuring cups, gummy bears, Kool-Aid powder everywhere. We got the prepackaged snacks with the Monday set off to the left, the Friday set off to the right. Pretty much something for every day in between. So much candy, my mouth started to water. I'm excited though. Just really ready to kick the week off, get the week going. Business starts slow for me, but in 7th grade it picks up. I'm making maybe $100 a week. Soon after, I'm able to pay my mom back her initial investment, buy some more candy. Typically, though, I saved most of it. Spent a lot of money on ringtones and maybe magnet earrings at the swap meet. Just wherever I could go. Didn't have too much I necessarily wanted for it. My mom made sure that we had what we needed. But eventually, though, kids began to pick up on the wave. They started to sell candy also. So I took it upon myself to go out into the community, maybe even door to door, selling candy. My father and my uncles, they were ticket scalpers. So they'll be outside of concerts, sporting events, selling tickets, buying tickets. So I'll be out there with a little box of candy, just selling to them as they entered the stadium, because that was when you could actually take snacks and stuff inside of the arenas. But in a few weeks, I had enough money to pay to play Pop Warner, buy new video games to keep up with PJ. It was a good feeling. But heading into high school, I had to step my game up. I swapped out the Milky Ways and the Three Musketeers for Hot Chips and Capri Suns. And by the first period bell, I had a wad of cash and some happy customers. But with this in mind, I had a new goal. I needed a car. I needed to get around. I needed some wheels. So my new goal was getting that car, and it'll probably be maybe my sophomore year before I actually got the car. We visited the auction maybe a few days before, made a list of some cars that we thought we wanted to bid on, and we get there auction day and they fly off at prices we can't afford. But the second to last one out was a shiny but used 2005 Chevy Impala, and that was the last one on my list because all the other ones got taken by just individuals or local like car companies who are buying up cars and just reselling them. So here we are, they're shooting the numbers and we're throwing our little marker up trying to get it, and we end up getting it, and my mom was so happy, I was happy. We ran immediately to the bank, got my money out, went back, paid them, drove the car off, and we're cruising, and it runs out of gas on me. So what I do then is I hit my hazards, pull over, call AAA for road service, and my mom was just telling me how proud she was. She was like, this is exactly what you're supposed to do in a situation like this. You pull over, hit the hazards, call for help. And soon after, I began to sound more like an adult, just questioning why is gas so high, or if people want to ride. I'm like, hey, you gotta give me some gas money. I'm thinking about having to fuel this thing that I now purchased. So yeah, having the car was great. I was able to take more candy to school. I was able to have now people sell candy for me. So I'm really getting into this whole business thing, learning a bit about it. But one thing we know about business is comes some adversity. And my first little bit of adversity was having to administer some like refunds, and the worst thing that happened was I had a whole duffel bag full of hot Cheetos stolen out of my football locker during practice. So that was like $50 worth of profit, and I was kind of like distraught by it. And to cap off like a really weird year, I got in trouble with my chemistry teacher, Mr. Barnes, for selling hot Cheetos in his class. It was during a time, because I guess it went haywire. Everyone in the school pretty much was selling candy. So the school had to kind of get a grip on it. They made it to where only organizations who are like submitting a fundraiser request could sell candy. So here I am, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. I'll play football, I'll run track, I'll just use these orgs to be able to do what I need to do. But not so much, because you actually have to submit the request. So it was rough though, because again, I was a shy kid. So this was my way of like developing social skills, just walking in class with my bag. I had a Ziploc bag, all the candy displayed, and there was a jumbo size Ziploc bag, so all the hungry kids in class, they could see it right there on the table, and they'll come up and talk to me, like, hey, how much for that candy bar? And we'll have a conversation. But without that, you know, it's different. You walk in class and they're like, hey, Dom, all right, and we sit down and go about our business. So it was a little difficult for me to kind of fit in or just like kind of get involved with others without having that. So at the start of my senior year, I hadn't seen the inside of the Smart and Final. It was really difficult for me to kind of get my bearings. It was a little tougher to move. My car was now in the shop with a boatload of problems that I didn't understand. But with that extra time, I used it to look into FAFSA, figure out what that was. I got into the Career Center for tips on what to do next because my new goal was college. And in order to get into college, I would have to have that same faith my mom once had in me during this time where I'm experiencing a bit of adversity. So, you know, I ride it out. I take the candy clamp down in stride. I look for odd jobs at the mall. I do odd jobs around town as far as mowing lawns or building desks for people who can't put it together after they get it from IKEA. I was just trying all kind of stuff really, just to like, you know, make it, you know, figure it out in a way, because this was something I was doing since middle school. It was like my way of making it. Not just financially, but connecting with other people and just getting engaged and not being awkward. Even today, I walk around like with a camera in my hand because it makes me more social. People say, hey, what do you do with that? And I take photos, and then we begin to talk and converse. But through it all, one thing that I learned is, you know, on our journey, we'll need faith and trust and patience from other people in order to identify the potential that we have to grow. And I thank my mom for that initial gesture because she didn't have to. And today, you know, I realized that with it all, I'm on this journey, but I learned to trust myself and invest in myself and believe in myself so that today and throughout my college experience, I bought and sold and resold different items from hats like I'm wearing today, and different apparel items from t-shirts to customize and create them just to be able to fuel myself and the brand that I created, which is called the I Am Root Collective. And we're a collective of artists underneath the umbrella of investing in ourselves and looking internally for the answers that we need to go out and chase our dreams, whether it's artistic or it's entrepreneurial. So again, I want to thank my mom for that initial gesture because it woke me up and it allowed me to realize that whatever I want to do and whenever I want to do it, whenever I plant the seed, things will grow. Again, my name is Dominique Flagg, and I thank you guys for listening. Woo!